Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Man, I love our intro. I love our intro so much. I get very hyped every time I watch it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Multiplex Logged In. We got a fun show for you today. We got film duos. Does that mean actor duos? Does that mean actor-director duos, actress duos, character duos? It means whatever you want it to mean. I think this is going to be a fun episode, and we got a great panel for it. Tim Brzakala not able to be here tonight. He had an emergency involving the moon and some peanut butter and a raccoon named Billy. But we've got a great panel.
That sounds like a weekend.
Who has it, right?
Yeah. We've got a great panel for you tonight. Producer extraordinaire, Mr. Kaleb Koho. Koho, how are you feeling about film duos?
I am excited. I don't often get to be on Logged In, so every time I get to be here, it's like it's an occasion for me. I'm excited to talk about it. I definitely broke your topic by accident when I asked you certain questions, so I can't wait for the rest of the panelists to be like, "Oh, this fuckhead."
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Brian,
okay.
The man who will probably be saying no, this fuckhead, Mr. Brian Michael. Brian, it's been a little bit since you've been on Logged In.
It has. I've had, Tim's messaged me a couple times. Panel, I'm available. So this time I was like, hey, I'm available. And then apparently something opened up. So, although I will be not very well prepared.
That's fair. You're cutting out a little bit, but that's
Yeah,
all right.
does it sound like judgment to everybody or just me?
Yeah. That's all right. And I believe first time on Logged In, Mr. Chance Ellison. Chance.
Yeah, first time here.
Yeah. Happy to have you on the show. Are you excited?
I mean, it's the show where I'm going to like say what I like, and then Boatman's going to give me shit because I'm not mentioning Lilo and Stitch.
No, that's why.
Okay,
that's
cool.
me on YLS.
All right,
here
cool,
you get
yeah.
nice Boatman. You
Okay,
get
cool.
Jekyll, not Hyde here.
But no, yeah, man, I'm excited. I think it's a fun topic. Got a lot of fun things I want to talk about. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. And returning again, I think he might hold the record besides me and him of just most times unlogged it, and he didn't start being unlogged it like that long ago. Mr. Payson Johnson.
No, yeah, I'm just like the general placeholder now. Like if you need a seat to fill, I'm always here. I don't quite know why Tim specifically keeps letting me back on, but I'm excited to talk about today's topic.
Did you notice that Tim didn't show up? He didn't want to be in the same color as you. Kidding. But yeah, this should be a fun topic. So we will start off the way we usually do with our little appetizers of talking about what we watched this week. What was your favorite movie you logged this week? Payson, we'll start with you. Favorite thing you watched this week?
Yeah, I usually don't. I usually like to talk about first time watches, but I'm going to talk about one of my favorite biopics of all time. My favorite film by this director, and that is Ed Wood. My gosh, do I love this movie. This has got to be one of the best, not just movies about movies, but movies about just like following your dreams and just resilience. If anyone doesn't know, it's about Ed Wood, who may or may not be one of the worst people to ever pick up a camera in Hollywood, at least. Guy just made horrible films. But the whole point about the movie is he loves making them so much. And he loves just the art and the craftsmanship of film. And that's part of the reason why I love it. I think Johnny Depp is incredible as the character of Ed Wood. I'm not quite sure I would have given Martin Landau the Oscar that year, but he's still excellent. No one swears quite like him in that movie. Like, that guy just is such a funny swearer. And then just George the Animal Steel, Patricia Arquette, Bill Murray, that guy we don't like to talk about anymore. They're all great as well. And yeah, I just really love this movie.
Yeah, I love Ed Wood. It's my favorite Tim Burton movie and also my favorite performance from Johnny Depp. To me, like, a movie that got a lot of comparisons when it came out, The Disaster Artist. And I think like the big difference is that Ed Wood is like a legitimately charming guy.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly inept, but he's genuinely likable. He's a very nice, friendly guy who is just terrible at his job. Like that's the truth of it. But it's the way Depp plays it. He captures the enthusiasm and kind of boyish charm of Ed Wood to a T. And I really love this performance. I love this movie. I want this to be the type of movie Tim Burton does, right? Like I like some of his fantasy work, but I think I also really like Big Eyes. I thought Big Eyes was really
great.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Like I think I like him doing these biopics that just have that little bit of flair of magic. I think that is kind of the realm I like to see him in. Koho, thoughts on Ed Wood?
I love Ed Wood. I think this might be Tim Burton's best movie. I think that Martin Landau is great in it. I also wouldn't have given him the Oscar in a year where Samuel L. Jackson is in the movie Pulp Fiction, but he is fantastic. I think this is the second best performance Johnny Depp has given in his entire career. But he's very good. I agree. I think that this whole cast is very well done. The story is it's fun to watch, and it's also one of those stories that you can walk away from and feel good about, even though it's not necessarily about someone who's like good at what they do, which is a unique thing to find in those kind of movies. So yeah, it's a good movie. Enjoy it. Good choice.
Ryan, I'm scared to hear your opinion on this.
Well, I will also give a vote to it as Johnny Depp's second best performance, second best character he's played. No, I actually really enjoy this movie. I as much as I do like some of Tim Burton's like more fantastical movies, I like when he does stuff like this, where, and Johnny Depp as well, where it's essentially real kind of movie. It's not real fantastical, but it's like a heightened version of it. Like Johnny Depp plays like it's not a normal character. He's clearly playing a character, but it totally works for who this guy is, and he does a great job at that. And Johnny Depp, I think, because he does these weird characters, I think is underrated as an actor, and this just shows he's really good.
And Chance.
Yeah, I can't say that was my favorite. It's not my favorite Tim Burton movie. I mean, that goes to Edward Scissorhands, which I also like adore. But that was definitely like top. I haven't done a full Tim Burton ranking. That definitely like top like 3 to 5. I think Ed Wood's excellent film. And yeah, you can clearly see that it was maybe one of his most heart-driven movies because like the stuff with him with Edwin Bell goes very much into his real life relationship with Vincent Price, which was like something that was very special to him, something he wanted to portray on screen somehow. But yeah, no, I think Ed Wood is a fantastic film and definitely one that stands out among his filmography.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll just keep the party going, and now we'll go to Chance. What was your favorite movie log this week?
I've been slacking on logging because I've watched a lot of stuff. I just haven't logged any because I've been bouncing around between a lot of places in the last 2 weeks. But my favorite thing I've watched in the last week, it probably has to go. I don't know why I had the weird urge to watch these films, but I had an urge to watch the Paddington films again, and Paddington 2 is still fucking excellent. Like, it's a movie that, I'm doing a lot to win over Lucas and Zach and everyone who loves this film because it's a lot of people. But yeah, no, it's a movie that I've seen it like, I want to say like 4 or 5 times, and I am always just, it's effortlessly charming. I'm always laughing. I think it's fantastic. It's got a lot of TLC put into it. It's got a great production design to it. Hugh Grant gives a fantastic performance. I honestly, if it was me, I would have nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I think he's that good. And yeah, I think it's just a sweet, charming movie that I honestly really can't find anything I don't like about it, which is testament to that film. And I think I wanted to watch it because the whole Wonka picture came out. So I wanted to remind myself of this is what you could do, Paul King. So don't let me down.
That's fair. I've been watching, this is a tiny tangent, but I've been watching Ted Lasso recently. And I actually kind of made the connection in my brain. Ted Lasso is just kind of like an adult Paddington.
Oh shit! Yeah,
like it's kind of it's very similar in that you've just got this upbeat, positive character, around these kind of negative people, and just by force of sheer positivity and being nice, he changes everything around. And I really like that. And I really like Paddington too. It's been a minute since I rewatched it. I remember liking Hugh Grant, but the performance I was really impressed with was Brendan Gleeson.
Gleason's great.
I think there was like nothing funnier in this movie than Brendan Gleeson being terrified by Paddington's stare. That is like just height of hilarity for me. So yeah, really enjoyed Paddington 2. Payson, thoughts on Paddington 2?
I love this movie. As everyone knows, like one of the highest rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes, and honestly, it really does earn it. Like, I don't see how anyone can really not like it. One of my personal favorite things about it is how each member of the main family has their struggle at the beginning that they have to, like, personal insecurity that they have to get over. And they slowly get over it, like how Sally Hawkins wanted to become a diver, but she couldn't really fulfill that. How, who plays the dad in it? Is it
Hugh Bonneville?
Yeah, Hugh Bonneville, how he wanted to become like how he was great at the carnivals with like the ring toss. I love that. Something I've always said was fun with this movie is a perfect double feature is this and No Country for Old Men. You start with No Country for Old Men first because there's no movie that just fills you with just negative thoughts and just shows you that there's no hope left in this world.
I mean, Schindler's List is right there. You could compare with that.
And then Paddington 2 shows you that that there is hope and there is positivity in this world. So yeah, I love this movie.
That's fair. Koho.
Oh, I love Paddington 2. This is a delightful little film. I will once again reopen the campaign now that we are in need of a new 14th Doctor. Ben Whishaw should be the Doctor. I think he would be an incredible choice. But I will also back up Hugh Grant is great in this movie. He's very, very funny. And also just all the different sort of like caricatures he has to slip into, and he makes all of them work is a really big feat, and so for him to pull that off is great. I think this is the better version of the Grand Budapest Hotel in a lot of ways.
Yeah, sure.
In a lot of ways, it has a similar aesthetic, and I think it works that aesthetic better. They're both good, but I think Paddington 2 does better. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic film. Very underlooked from 2018.
Whatever they're putting on you down at the morgue, I want it. Brian.
I have never seen either Paddington movie. I didn't rush out to see them, and then after a while, I just kind of never got around to it. And then at one point, I was hearing everybody how much they all loved it. I was like, I'm going to finally watch these movies. But I was on, I don't remember what show I was on Multiplex, and it came up that I said, hey, I think I'm going to finally watch these movies. And Boatman told me, I don't think it's a Brian movie. So I still haven't seen them.
I'll be honest, I don't think it's a Brian movie.
Yeah, I don't think it is a Brian movie.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
He could be the one.
It's just nothing I rushed out to see, and just never got around to it since then. So.
I mean, Kirk.
Sometimes Brian surprises me with what he likes and doesn't like. So,
and I mean, Kirk isn't crazy about it, so maybe Brian will like it.
Then I'll love it. I will love it.
Exactly.
That could actually be the case.
Is Kirk crazy about anything? Let's be real.
That's fair. Napoleon Dynamite loves that. Anyway,
okay, I see eye to eye there.
All right. And of course, Brian got frustrated at the mention of Napoleon Dynamite. But now we will go to Brian. Brian, what was your favorite movie you loved this week?
I've been watching a lot of mediocrity this week, just because I'm in kind of studying for a match mode.
No spoiler.
So a lot of 2-3 star things. Not a lot of stuff I love, but I'm going to keep mine. It's October. Let's go for Halloween stuff. I really enjoy. This is a rewatch for me though. I really enjoy and think it is so underrated. The 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I probably won't have a lot of people agree with me, although most people have seen it, at least respect it. Because it's a lot of people really love the original, and so they kind of just don't like the remake just because they love the first one so much. I honestly enjoy this one so much better. But even if you like the first one, this one, I think it's got a great aesthetic to it. I think it looks beautiful. The cinematography in this is really well done. They create this whole environment to it that really works. I like that they set it in the 70s because that gives the whole feel to it. Plus, you don't have to deal with, all the kids having cell phones and things like this. That would, kind of take away from the horror of it all. I think it's scary. I think that the acting's decent for a horror film. It's got Jessica Biel in it. It's got Jonathan Tucker. Arlie Ermey does a great job as the sheriff in this. I think he's like a great kind of secondary villain in this movie. But this is one that I think a lot of people just lump in with every other horror remake. But this one's actually really quite good.
That's fair. I haven't seen this one, but I'm not big on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't like it at all, but I know it has its fans, so
maybe I should give this one a chance. I don't know. Koho, have you seen this one? I feel like you probably haven't.
I have not. Considering I just watched a bunch of the classic, slashers, I'm a little slashered out. Despite being in Halloween mode and watching a bunch of spooky movies, probably won't watch this one this year, just because I kind of burned myself out on a certain fandom category recently. So I don't know if I will be watching this one soon, but I might like it.
That's fair. Payson, you seen this one?
I'm kind of blind on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise in general. It's something that I need to check out. Is this the one with McConaughey?
No, that's 4.
That's the next generation.
That's the next generation. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm down to check it out. If Brian enjoys it, you never know. It could be great, could be shit, but yeah.
If you like horror movies, I like.
I've seen it. I've seen every Chainsaw movie. This one I've seen this one once. I remember this one being just dull. Like a lot of slash from the mid 2000s. I just found it dull from what I remember. I've only seen it the one time though. I don't think it's the worst Texas Chainsaw. It's like somewhere in the middle, somewhere like the 5 to 6 range, maybe 4. I don't know. The franchise itself isn't very good. And when you actually look at what the movies are, it's really confusing as to the order of these films. But there's definitely worse Texas Chainsaw movies. I can say that.
That's fair. Okay. Well, Koho, what was your favorite movie you liked this week?
Like I just said, I'm kind of in a spooky, just pseudo horror mood. This week, I also just been in a classic binge, and one of the ones I finally got around to watching was Psycho. And Psycho is a masterpiece. I was really surprised by how much I liked Psycho.
Big Vince Vaughn guy over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yep, Vince Vaughn is the masterpiece of our times. But I realized how little I actually knew about this movie when I got about a third to halfway through the movie, and everything that I knew about this movie had suddenly just gone. I realized I don't know what's about to happen next. And I thought that made for one of the most entertaining experiences I've had in a while. I think Anthony Perkins is delivering a phenomenal performance in this movie. I think he's incredible. And I think that this might be Hitchcock's best work as a director, not having seen all of his work yet. But of what I've seen, I think this is the best of what I've seen so far. I think it's a fantastic job. And it's one of my favorite new watches of the year, not just of the week. So
that's fair. I love Psycho. Psycho's in my top 100. What you're talking about with the shift, I kind of knew that going in. I wish I could have seen this with completely blind eyes and just not knowing anything about it. This movie's awesome. The narrative shift it takes. I love that Marion Crane is kind of this. Yeah, because you wanted to. But Marion Crane isn't this kind of generic good person protagonist. You're following her basically money laundering and the first 20 minutes of the movie. I really like the cast. Martin Balsam, I think, it's really good in this. I think Martin Balsam is just one of the most underrated character actors of that era. But yeah, Psycho is brilliant. Payson?
No, this movie is absolutely incredible. It used to be my favorite Hitchcock movie. I think Rear Window has kind of surpassed that personally, but I still absolutely love this. Anthony Perkins is so creepy as this character. I think it's really well paced. Not to give anything away, I think you kind of get 2 movies for the price of one. I think both of them really complement each other. Really cool fun fact. I live about 45 minutes away from the hotel that the opening scene takes place in, and I've been there, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, I love this movie.
That's cool. Chance.
Yeah, this is my favorite horror movie of all time. This is like top 10 all time for me. I adore this film at night. I remember I watched this. My hometown had a whole class film festival in like one of those big old timey theaters, so I got to see it for the first time, like on this massive screen. I knew nothing about it. I was like, I think I would have been like 12 years old at the time, and yeah, I was just amazed by how much I adore this film. And yeah, I think I said it before on It Sucks. Anthony Perkins, I think wholeheartedly. I think his genre films got the respect they do now, and they did in the '60s. Anthony Perkins would have been nominated for Best Actor because he is excellent in that film. I think it's like top 3 to 5 Hitchcock performances he's ever gonna have an actor. Yeah, there's literally nothing more I can say about the film. I think it's a masterpiece, and it's always been my favorite Hitchcock film.
That's fair. And Brian.
Hitchcock isn't really my thing. I mean, there's a few of his that I really like, but Psycho is one of those that, while I don't consider it like a favorite of mine, it's nothing I would really go back and revisit unless it was for trivia or something. It's a movie that I do respect more than I enjoy, because I can see why people who like Hitchcock and that, who really like this, and technically it's extremely well done. But for me, it's just kind of like,
That's fair. So yeah, now we will go to me for my favorite movie this week. I'm going with I much like Koho, I've been trying to get to some more spooky-ish horror movies that I haven't quite seen yet. And one film that had just been on my list for a long time, just purely because of the fact that it's the only film that has Sidney Lumet and the genre tag of horror under it. I'm going with the 1972 film Child's Play, which was really, really interesting. It takes place at this boarding school. Bo Bridges is this new teacher, and he kind of finds himself wrapped up in this feud between James Mason, two teachers played by James Mason and Robert Preston. At the same time, there are these kind of pranks going on within the students that are getting increasingly more and more violent. And it's just kind of Bo Bridges trying to figure out what is going on. And the film is excellent. And it is on the back of the performances by James Mason and Robert Preston, who are both excellent in very different ways. Their like differing acting styles are perfect for their characters, and it shows really the contrast between these two people. And it's excellent because Mason, is kind of more classy British actor, whereas Preston, you've got all the Broadway showmanship, and I think that contrast works really well. And it's Sidney Lumet, and he was just one of the masters of filmmaking. I'm gonna guess no one here has seen this, but maybe.
This is like one of the few Lumet films I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I have not seen it. Although it scares me that Kirk has it at 3 stars, which is like 5 stars for anybody else, which means that I probably won't like it.
That's fair. I feel like maybe you won't like this one, but I don't know for a fact.
I love Lumet, so I should
I'll put it on the watch list. It's free on Prime, so why not?
Yeah, that's the thing. This is on Prime and Paramount Plus, so you don't have an excuse not to watch it if you have one of those. So now we're going to do the less fun side of the coin. Your least favorite movie you logged this week. Chance, we'll start with you.
I'm trying to check. What is the least favorite? Well, come back to me.
All right, that's fine. Brian, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this was an easy choice for me. Last night, for the first time since like 2007 or whatever, I rewatched Paranormal Activity. That movie is such a pile of dog shit. I get that these people, wanted to do this low budget, we're going to do it just, like a found footage kind of thing. We can just make this movie. That's great if people want to just make this as some fun little project. But for people to actually go pay to see this in the theater, much less for them to make 5 more after this with a 6th one coming, and it actually made money, and I don't understand why. Because, basically this whole movie is just 2 people hanging out in a house for whatever 85 minutes, and occasionally a door slams or some crew member knocks on the wall, and it's just like, this is not scary. There's not a single scary moment in this entire movie. So unless, as Cody commented on my review, he's a little bitch, so he slept with the lights on for 3 days after he saw it. good for him. I'm glad he was scared by it. But for me, it was just so completely boring. And for what is supposedly this great horror movie of the 2000s, it is not scary in the slightest bit and just bored me to death.
I feel like I won't like Paranormal Activity, so I have not seen a single one.
Yeah, don't bother.
Koho, have you seen Paranormal Activity? I feel like you have.
No, I have not seen any of them, actually. These are ones that you would assume that I have probably seen, like, the 5th one on a date at some point. But no, I haven't seen any of these, and I don't really plan to.
I don't go on dates, so that would probably.
Fun fact, I saw the first Paddington on a date. So just back into the things from before.
I almost saw Cars 3 on a date, but we know how that went.
Uh-oh.
Cars 3 jokes, always so well to go back to. Payson.
Yeah, these aren't. I've only seen the first one. It's not really my horror movie. I don't hate it as much as Brian does, but I just think there are a lot better things out there. I've never understood the concept that this is the scariest movie ever made, which that rhetoric has died down since the time. But if you go back to through the early 2010s, people thought this was one of the scariest movies ever made, and it's really not.
It probably wasn't the scariest movie that came out that week.
Not really, yeah, probably not. I wasn't expecting to laugh as much as Brian just saying this is a piece of dog shit as it did, but that was very funny. So thank you, Brian. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of these.
Chance, how do you feel about this movie? As I researched what came out in 2007,
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, it came out. I gotta say, when I was a kid, these were the hot thing. So I was a kid and a teenager when these movies were coming out. So I felt like I had to see them because also all my friends were talking about. So I was a little late to the game on the first Paranormal Activity, but yeah, I'm just this isn't great. And it's not even a Blair Witch thing where it's I don't find it super scary, but at least respect the craft and I respect what it did for the genre. This is just yeah, okay, sure, people hanging out every now and then, the powder flies away or your door slams or some shit. But yeah, no, I cannot look you in the eye and say I am a fan of this film because no, I'm just not.
That is fair. So Koho, what was your least favorite movie you loved this week?
So I have a far and away worst, but I really don't want to talk about Titan, so we're going to talk about a different movie that I also didn't love. I think this movie is okay. I didn't hate it. I actually kind of liked it, and it might be my second favorite from this franchise. I watched Muppets Haunted Mansion, and Muppets Haunted Mansion is delightful in parts and eye-rollingly bad in parts because it's the Muppets. So the puppets suck. I don't like the Muppets in anything. So to see them take on one of my favorite rides at Disneyland and do the lore of it pretty well and with a really honest love for the thing they're adapting, I was pretty excited about it. Actually, at parts, any time that they are doing a reference to something in the Haunted Mansion or diving into the actual Haunted Mansion itself with a celebrity cameo here or there, I think it's a decent fun time. And then we get a Muppets joke that just doesn't work, and that stalls it. So it's a solid 3-star movie, and it's probably my least favorite thing that is not named Teton that I watched this week, but it's inoffensive.
I actually had a really good time with this because I do like the Muppets. The one problem I have with it is I still can't stand the new Kermit voice. The new Kermit voice just sounds wrong. It does not sound like Kermit the Frog. I cannot stand the new Kermit voice, and honestly, I'm glad Kermit wasn't in this a ton, because that new Kermit voice just every time I hear it, it's just uncanny valley. But overall, I like the Muppets, so I had a fun time. Jason, you see this one?
I have not. I just realized I don't think I've heard the new Kermit voice yet. I think I must have been sleeping under a rock for the last 6 years, so.
It didn't start happening until after the Muppets TV show came out a few years ago. So it's only been the last 2 years.
Yeah.
In which they haven't really done anything.
Yeah, they haven't it's just been that talk show and then this.
Yeah.
Chance.
I haven't seen Muppets Haunted Mansion yet. I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and watch. I do want to check it out just because I'm a big Muppets fan. But yeah, this is not one I've seen as of yet. But I do agree with the Boatman. The new current voice is just it throws me off every time I hear it.
Brian, you don't seem like a Muppets guy.
Muppets are very hit and miss for me. I mean, from the very beginning, it seems like for every good movie, there's a mediocre one and a bad one. So it's like there's kind of all over the board. This one, I didn't know what to expect from it. My kids are getting to the point where they're too old to really want to watch the Muppets at this point, so I got to find an excuse to go watch it by myself. Yesterday, Nazario was telling me it was good, but then again, that's like having Zach tell you the Muppets are good, so it doesn't tell me anything. So I mean, it's one I might check out eventually, but hearing that it's just kind of mediocre is kind of confirming my suspicions.
Guys, I have news that I just discovered. 3 days before Paranormal Activity, the Cartoon Network made-for-TV film Scooby-Doo: The Mystery Begins was released, which has some spooky stuff there. So no, Paranormal Activity was.
It had to have been scarier than Paranormal Activity.
I mean, it came out the same week as Surrogates, so it's Bruce Willis acting post 1990. So it's scary.
I mean, the real terrifying movie that came out that weekend is The Fame.
Don't get patient started.
Right?
The Fame remake is bad.
Oh Jesus, The Fame remake.
That's the most terrifying movie that came out that weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone talked about Muppets Haunted Mansion, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go to me. My least favorite movie I watched this week. I'm going to go with a film that was just not meant for me. And there's really two movies I watched that were just not meant for me. But I'm going to talk about one because there's at least something good about it that I can really highlight. I should have never watched Private Parts, the Howard Stern movie. I watched it because Paul Giamatti was in it. I liked Paul Giamatti, and I wanted to watch a Paul Giamatti movie. Yeah, I knew nothing about Howard Stern. Like, I've seen interviews.
Wait, nothing?
No, like that was a little after my time. So I knew the idea of Howard Stern as like a radio person, and that's and that like kind of he was a shock jock. But that when I watched it, I was like, oh, this guy's just kind of an asshole. Oh, I will say, as Paul Giamatti's character shows up, he gets better because he actually has a point to exist. Paul Giamatti is the one thing that saves this movie. Paul Giamatti is really good. As like this NBC producer, but overall, like it's just not for me. I probably never should have watched this, but I like Paul Giamatti and Allison Janney's in it, and I love Allison Janney. So, like, those two people in a movie together, come on. Don't blame me. Payson, have you seen Private Parts?
I have not, but I have a question to ask you. Hot take in the chair. Who is the Howard Stern of our community?
Oh, I'm not answering that question.
Understandable. Let's move on.
Private Parts.
I actually quite like this movie. I think it's like a very fascinating take on the whole biopic genre. It's one we don't see quite out. We don't really see like a person playing their own biopic, and because Howard Stern was also just like a very instrumental figure in radio. So it's like, yeah, this would be something that we had to do this way. I think again, Paul Giamatti is fantastic. I like him a lot. I like Allison Janney. I think this movie, I've only seen it once and it's been years, but I remember liking it quite a bit.
That's fair. Brian, you're the only person I follow, I think, that has actually like said they have watched this movie on Letterboxd. So how do you feel about this? Dustin Mason and Kirk have also. Oh wait,
marked as watched?
Oh nope, you don't have this marked as watched. For some reason,
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen clips of it here and there, but I've never seen the whole movie. Howard Stern's just not. I'm not a fan, so
that's fair. Koho, I know you haven't watched this, so we'll just move on.
He judges America's Got Talent, right?
He does.
He used to at one point.
Better performance. Howard Stern playing himself, or Howard Stern pretending to like anyone on America's Got Talent?
Howard Stern playing himself.
Simon Cowell pretending to like anyone on America's Got Talent.
There you go.
All right, so now we'll go to Payson. Payson, your least favorite movie.
Let's not.
Oh, we mentioned him earlier. Let's talk about. We were talking about post-90s Bruce Willis. Let's go back earlier into pre-90s Bruce Willis. Now, Bruce Willis made some good movies back then. He made Last Boy Scout, really like that. Made The Fifth Element, really like that. You know what's a shit movie? Hudson Hawk. I will not explain why I'm watching Hudson Hawk. All I will say is I get it. I get why if some people may have seen this at a certain age, they may have found this fun. Oh my gosh, this was not for me. This movie is stupid. The tonal shifts of this movie are just very strange. I think it's like 20 minutes too long. Yeah, just not a fan. I didn't really find any of it that funny. And as I was watching it, I kind of hated someone while I was watching it, but I also was like, okay, this is fair because I also made this person do some other things that they did not like, so I accepted it. But yeah, Hudson Hawk, terrible. Michael Lehman, Heathers was good. This was not good.
I am vaguely familiar as Hudson Hawk as this movie that, like, I know was hated when it came out, and then it got this rabid, like, fan base of Defenders, and then it got the rabid backlash from the fan base of Defenders, and now people just think it's something. I don't even know. Brian, has anyone had a chance? Have you seen Hudson Hawk?
I have not seen Hudson Hawk.
Okay, and I know for a fact Koho has.
This is a Wikipedia that I may or may not have read in the summer of 2020 for some undisclosed reason, if you do the math.
Brian Michael, go ahead, make your defense.
So Bruce Willis was a TV actor, then he did Die Hard and started becoming this movie star, kind of rising star. Then he kind of hit his peak right around like Hudson Hawk here, where he like was able to do his vanity project, where it's like this is some story he's had in his head apparently for like 15 years that he wanted to do, and now he had the power to basically make it happen. And then of course after that his career fell and he started just doing straight to video shit. But so I mean, I respect the guy was wanting to do this story. He's always wanted to do that. He has the power and the money to make it happen. I didn't hate it. I mean, I think it's fun. Now I will admit that since I've rewatched it in the years since then, I don't enjoy it as much as I did when it first came out. It absolutely has a weird tone to it. I mean, it's like an action movie, but they break into song in parts, and it's almost like a live action Looney Tunes half the time because they're using sound effects. And you got Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhard acting completely over the top, like they're in a different movie.
I'll be honest, Brian, you're kind of selling me on this movie a little bit.
I'm trying to. What are you saying, Payson?
I like weirdly stacked cast. Like Danny Aiello is in this, Richard E. Grant's in this. Just yeah.
Yeah, James Coburn's in it, Andy McDowell's in it. It's got David Caruso's in it in a silent role. But I mean, yeah, this is a movie that I think is fun, but I completely understand if some people hate it because this is definitely like an acquired taste kind of movie. It's weird. Like you said, Michael Lehman directed it, who I actually like. Others, he's also did like Airheads and some other stuff which I've liked. So I mean, I'm not completely shocked that the base didn't like it, but I'm okay with it.
That's fair.
All right. So now Chance.
I do have mine, and okay. I think I'm a little past the date to talk about. Do you have an hand?
That's all right.
But
what?
I said I'd bring up Do You Have Hanson if I hadn't seen it a little past the full, week thing. So if I had to say thing I've like in the last week, thing I've liked the least is probably Venom Let There Be Carnage. Like that was one.
You saved yourself.
I was here to back you up, Caleb.
Brian and I were ready to pounce on you, dude.
I'm sorry if you vouch for movies that star an emotional terrorist, but anyways, Venom Let There Be Carnage is like it's. I didn't even dislike it that much. I don't like the first Venom very much. I think it's fine. I'm a little easier on it because I saw it with my mom. She really liked it. But yeah, this one. It's the same thing. If you like the first one, I heard a lot about it, so I wanted to check it out, see for myself. And yeah, I walked in the same first time. I'm like, yeah, this is bad. It's fine. It's a little weird. I don't get Tom Hardy's weird fascination with this character. He has an unnatural love for this character. It's kind of weird and a little gross, but he gives his all in the scene in this movie. Michelle Williams definitely defy her age, and I like Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I think he's a good casting choice. They give him no character development to the very end of the movie, but he does go with what he has. And again, it was like with the first one. It was I was watching it like, okay, yeah, this is fun. This isn't great, but okay. So we got to the stinger. And then that stinger it didn't just push it into bullshit territory. It's straight up like, this is Sparta. Just kicked it over the line. I'm very curious as to where his franchise is going to be going forward. But yeah, Venom of the Car is not great, and I just do not understand the love some people are giving this movie.
That is totally fair. I haven't seen it yet because I didn't like the first Venom, and I've been told by multiple people, Boatman, do not watch this movie under any circumstances.
It's short. That's a good thing I can say about it. It's short.
That's the thing is people are complaining about the runtime. I'm sorry. Do you not want 90-minute movies? What is wrong with you? 90-minute movies are awesome.
This was mercifully short.
Yeah,
it was mercifully short.
Payson, you seen this one yet? I feel like you have.
I have not, but I have a plan for when I go see it. You see, there's a Circle K that's like a walk away. We all know where this is going. There's a Circle K that's like a walk away from this movie, and on the back they have all these little mini whiskeys. And I'm trying to decide: do I get 2 mini whiskeys for when I go see this movie, or do I get
4? You need 4.
Get 4.
4 for 90 minutes. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. But it really is sad that this movie is not yet playing in Australia, because the one man who I think we all know
Jake,
this movie cannot see it, and I legit feel bad for him right now. But yeah, I plan on seeing this movie, but my expectations are not very high.
Ryan, you see this one yet?
I did, and it was not good. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the first one. And I thought this one will be. It was just something to see, it's like AMC A-list. Why? And it's basically free. So it cost me more to go see this movie. So I went and saw it, and it's just like it's boring. The actions, especially in the third act, incomprehensible because it's just red blob versus black blob, and you can't even tell what's going on. It gets monotonous and repetitive, especially in the action sequences. And the biggest problem is, I mean, the first one was like a comic book movie with some comedy. This one just leaned into it. This is a pure comedy with a little bit of action to it. And it's not even funny comedy. It's just like, okay, we get it. This whole Odd Couple thing. Ooh, let's move on. But yeah, if you haven't seen this, I wouldn't bother. And like Chance, I really hate where they're going with this.
If this was Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, I would watch the heck out of it.
Which one's
Which one would be better?
Which one's the goo?
Jack Lemmon is Eddie and Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau's the goo?
Walter Matthau.
This is marginally better than the first one. This movie has no depth in any way, shape, or form. This movie is completely they basically shot the outline of a movie. They wrote the outline for a script and then just filmed that, because it's just this thing happens, done. And it's like, oh, so there's no real subplots, there's no real emotional stakes, there's no real characters. There's nothing to this movie. This movie is literally, we put Venom on a poster, we put a supervillain that people like in it vaguely, and we're going to capitalize on the box office of the last one so that we can get this to where we want to go with it next. I think Woody Harrelson is atrocious in this entire movie. I think his performance is incomprehensibly stupid. There's an entire character in this movie that serves no purpose despite their skill set being literally telegraphed and designed to be the MacGuffin of the third act. And instead of it having any purpose, they just dispose of that character and remove them entirely from the final fight. It's wild. This movie is not very good. And Twohig and I were both very bummed that it wasn't either like Batman and Robin fun bad. It wasn't Batman and Robin fun bad, but it wasn't. It also wasn't like Elektra terrible. It just falls into this realm of like, it sucks to watch.
That's fair. That's everyone on Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so I believe that's everyone's least favorite movie they logged this week. So now we're going to, what movie did you add to your watch list that you're excited about? I'll go first. Movie I added recently There's a film from the 80s called The Dresser. It's with Albert Finney and Tom Conti, and it got 2 Best Lead Actor nominations. And it basically just centers around this backstage of like a performance of a Shakespearean adaptation. Sounds kind of interesting. I like Albert Finney. Want to check it out? Listen, what movie did you add to your watch list that you're most excited about?
10 days. 10 days, people, until Dune. Denis Villeneuve, Frank Herbert. We're going to Arrakis. Let's go. 10 more days. I'm so excited.
Calm down. Koho, what movie did you add to your watch list?
I'm going to make Boatman real happy because I've been watching a lot of classics over the course of the last week. I found an actor. Well, I knew of this actor, but now that I'm diving more into their filmography, I love them more and more. I have added Bell, Book, and Candle to my watch list. It is another James Stewart film. So if you've been watching my progress on Letterboxd, you'll see a theme. I've been watching a lot of James Stewart. He is in this movie that is about witches, and it's vaguely spooky, and it kind of fits the aesthetic of movies I'm trying to watch this month. So that beautiful intersection of things I've been wanting to watch, plus this sort of trend I'm on, means it's one I'll probably check out the next couple days.
Brian, what movie did you add to your watch list that you're most excited about?
Well, I did just buy my ticket for the 27th, Wednesday the 27th for Last Night in Soho, but that's not new to my watch list, so I'll count that. The newest one I added to my watch list I'm excited about, again, trying to get some horror movies that I've missed over the years, is Dog Soldiers. It's a movie from 2002. It's by Neil Marshall, who basically went on to direct The Descent, so that's what he's best known for. But it's basically a group of British soldiers, like off on some training exercises, and basically it becomes them versus werewolves. There's not any really, there's recognizable faces in it, no big names you probably heard of. There's like Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones, Kevin McKidd, who's done some TV stuff. So no big names in it, but it's one that I've always heard was good. It's kind of the first one that Neil Marshall on the map. And I've wanted to see. Unfortunately, it's not on digital, so I'm still trying to track down like a DVD or something.
That's fair. Chance, what movie did you add to your watch list that you're most excited about?
I'm looking at it right now. Most movie I've added that I'm most excited about, probably Death in the Mating, because this was I was looking over Sigourney Weaver's filmography, and this is one that I'm like I had never heard about, and I read the premise. Basically, about a woman who she was living with her husband. Then her husband invites a guest who she believes is someone who in her past sexually assaulted her, and basically just like all like the drama and turmoil that comes with that. I think that premise sounds great. Ben Kingsley plays the guest who gets invited in, and I just remember as an actress, and I like Ben Kingsley, so yeah, this is definitely one I want to check out at some point.
That's fair. Okay, now we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. We're going to talk about film duos again. This can be anything: character duos, actor-director duos, actress duos, yada, yada, yada. I'll start us off. I'm going with an actor duo. I briefly mentioned them because I would watch a Venom movie starring them. I would watch anything starring them. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Come on. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau were just a delight to see work with. Like anytime they were on screen together, or even I haven't seen the film, but Jack Lemmon directed Walter Matthau in a film called Koch, which I've heard is quite good. Jack Lemmon, just the perfect, like neurotic, nervous, like awkward guy. To Walter Matthau's just just kind of slobbish jerk. And anytime, like Fortune Cookie, they work off each other perfectly. The Odd Couple, they work off each other perfectly. I really like the Grumpy Old Men movies. Those are a lot of fun. Just anytime they're on screen together, I just think they were a blast to see work with, and they seem to really enjoy working with each other. Even a movie that isn't great, Buddy Buddy, they are fantastic in. Payson, thoughts on Jack Lemmon and Walter?
So shamefully, I think The Odd Couple is the only one of this pair that I think I've seen, but I mean, that's one of the great classic comedies of all time. Personally, I think you and Cody Newberry kind of have a very like Odd Couple-esque relationship in a way.
When Cody first watched The Odd Couple, because he watched it before I did, he was like, "Hey, watch this, and you are Jack Lemmon and I am Walter." Like, okay, and yep, I see. I'm absolutely Felix, and Cody is absolutely Oscar. He is Walter Matthau.
Yeah, the fortune cookie is one that I've been wanting to watch for a while, but yeah, this is a very, very good pick.
Chance, thoughts on Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau?
So Jack Lemmon was one of the first like classic actors I became like a really big fan of. I remember I saw a screening of Something Like It Hot, same film festival in my hometown, and like he's great, he's so funny. I want to see movies with this guy. And that's why I found, Odd Couple and, the Criminal Men movies and like all these things he did with Walter Matthau. And yeah, no, the two of them, and you can just feel that chemistry between the two of them. And I think that's the benefit of having actors who are likely great friends in real life. I can't speak to their personal lives, but I'm fairly positive they had to be great friends in real life because they just work so well off of each other. And there's no way they're gonna be movies that long and just like not like fuck you offset. No, these guys were great. They are one of the original screen duos, or acting duos, and powerhouse acting duos. So yeah, great pick.
How funny would that be though? If they just hated each other,
in real life
together. That would be amazing.
Don't Penn and Teller like hate each other in real life?
Penn and Teller? No, I don't. No, it's not Penn and Teller. It's somebody else. That'd be somebody in Royd.
Yeah,
but yeah, like they get the script. It's like, oh, this motherfucker again. God damn it.
Brian, thoughts on Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau?
I've only probably seen about half of the movies they've done together. I've liked what I've seen, but there's still a big hole of ones that I haven't gotten around to yet. But yeah, I mean they obviously have great chemistry together. When you talk about comedy duos, especially, they're two of the best. And what I really like is like you don't see this so much anymore. Where like a couple of actors kind of pair up for movie after movie after movie. That's not necessarily sequels to them. It's just the same actors pairing up for lots of movies. And I wish they would do that more often because obviously it worked well for these guys.
Yeah. Koho?
I shamefully haven't seen, I think, any Matthau Lemmon films. I love Jack Lemmon. I don't have much experience with Walter Matthau. I think I would really like Odd Couple. I just haven't sat down and watched that yet. So
that's fair. Okay. Well, we'll just go this way. Koho, your first pick for film duo.
I'm going to keep it right in my wheelhouse of what I've been watching. Frank Capra and James Stewart have this magical relationship as director and actor between You Can't Take It With You and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And, of course, It's a Wonderful Life, which I haven't seen in years. So I can't give an updated opinion on it. But of the two that I've watched recently, James Stewart is an actor that is, especially in Capra's films, has this just charm, this just boyish, youthful exuberance about him, just this idealism in both films. And he's very different in You Can't Take It With You than he is in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but he still has these qualities that Capra just kind of brings out of him. And he's like kind of perfectly designed as an actor with the skill set to tell the kind of stories that Frank Capra likes to tell. Just these very, at least in the late 30s, early 40s, into the early 40s, just like these very hopeful and idealistic stories about humanity. And I think that that Capra and Stewart's relationship is just kind of a perfect director-actor relationship.
Yeah, and as someone who has seen It's a Wonderful Life more recently than you have, Koho, you need to watch that one. And yeah, all three of these films are great, and Stewart gives a great performance in all three of these. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, I think, is Stewart's best performance as an actor, and I think
absolutely
one of the best performances in classic film, period. Like that final moment is just incredible. Chance just cut out.
The way his voice, the thing he does with his voice in the final filibuster is something that I've never seen an actor do as well ever anywhere. It's just an incredible performance.
It is exhausting to watch. He is that film is incredible, and he's great. You Can't Take It With You, and I don't want to even talk about how good he is in a certain scene towards the end of It's a Wonderful Life, because he is great in a certain scene towards the end of It's a Wonderful Life.
There's a chance that I might get to see it in a theater this year, so I might wait till that opportunity.
That's fair. Payson,
are we really watching out for spoilers on It's a Wonderful Life?
I mean, you don't have to. I'm going to.
The statute of limitations is passed on that one.
That's fair. I just know
80 fucking years. We still can't spoil them.
I mean, you're welcome to. Payson?
Yeah, in terms of classic actor director like combos. I think maybe with the exception of one other, this one is 100% my favorite. I think It's a Wonderful Life is probably my favorite one, with Mr. Smith in a very close second. I just think he is so heartwarming and Frank Capra knew how to get the heartwarming aspect of Jimmy Stewart out. I think Hitchcock later got the dark aspect, but I really do love just the American man, Jimmy Stewart, and just everything he did with Frank Capra. I know exactly what scene you're talking about, Boatman from It's So Wonderful. Screw it, I'll say it. When he's running down the street, that is it will fill your heart with the biggest amount of joy I think you can make. Great pick.
Chance?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything said so far. I think Frank Capra got his best performance out of Jimmy's. Jimmy's best performance came out of Frank Capra. I think Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is not far and away. He's got a lot of work, but for me at least, his favorite performance. I think he's excellent in that film. And if you have a day where you just feel really shitty about life, pop in one of their movies, and you feel so much better.
That's true, Brian.
Again, this is a one that I've not seen all the movies they've done together, but the ones I've seen I've really enjoyed. It's a Wonderful Life, obviously being the main one most people are familiar with, but Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is probably my favorite, the one they've done together.
That's totally fair. Okay, Brian, we will stick with you. What is your first pick for duos?
I think for my first one, I'm going to switch it up and go to characters. I hate to go with obvious picks when you make these kind of lists, but I would not forgive myself if I ended up with the best character duo ever on screen, and that is Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Not what I had. I definitely had a different character.
I thought you were someone else.
But it's those two are not only are they two of the most iconic characters from one of the biggest movies of all time. I missed something. Okay.
I put up Bill and Ted for a second.
You put the one you thought you were gonna do.
Nope. Not going there. But these are two iconic characters. The relationship between them, especially when one of them can't even speak English, so you're just kind of going by his sounds, his emotions, and what Han Solo, how he's reacting to him and talking to him. I just think, and it's a relationship that you can actually feel the camaraderie between them, and especially, people have their problems with the newest movies, but the minute when Han Solo, spoiler alert, gets killed, you can feel the emotion from this big dude in a furry costume. You can feel him basically scream out in agony. And they're two of the best characters as far as just characters that created out of nothing, but also just the relationship I thought it's kind of iconic.
That's fair. Koho, thoughts on Han and Chewie?
Yes, this is a great relationship in the Star Wars franchise. I think that I probably would have. There's other character dynamics that I personally like more within the world of Star Wars, but I think this is probably one of the most heartfelt ones that often gets overlooked in Star Wars. I think that the relationship is a lot of quick moments in different scenes between action moments and maybe even in the background of the overarching story. But in The Force Awakens when Han Solo dies, Chewbacca's moment is one of the best moments in that entire film because of this relationship that they've had in the background of Star Wars for the whole franchise up to that point. So that's a great choice.
That's fair. I like Han and Chewie. Probably, as everyone knows, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but this is a good dynamic. Who doesn't like Han and Chewie together? Han is probably the best Star Wars character, in my opinion. I think his arc is maybe the best throughout the movies. And Chewbacca's cool. Payson?
These two are about as inseparable as they come. They're some of the best characters in the series. Han, just this wisecracking, good-for-nothing guy, just teaming up with this loyal, sweet, hairy guy. Two things come to mind: that Han Solo and Chewbacca, and Andrew James Barr and Kirk Holkowski. I think you could also compare to that. But
that's so weird. I don't like that.
Can't deny it. But this is a great pick.
You can.
Characters.
Chance, save us.
Yeah. Everyone knows me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and Han and Chewie, this is the coolest version of a boy and his dog ever put to screen. The fact that they have so much chemistry and they have such a deep history, such a friendship you buy into, but the fact that one half of it never speaks, I think it says a lot to both the acting of Ford and just the the directing and writing on those two characters. I think they're excellent. They're Han and Chewie. They're an icon at this point.
That's totally fair. Okay.
Real quick, or do we have to list the movie that we're using to represent these?
No.
If you want,
this isn't YLS.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like
if you wanted my movie was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Well, you didn't have. I mean, you can use it for the whole. You can represent it as the whole duo, or if you want just one movie to represent, whatever you want.
Using the Star Wars Holiday Special. There you go.
Yeah. All right. So
I'll wear my VR headset for a second.
Now we'll go to Chance. Chance, what is your pick for film?
Yeah, so when I first heard the topic, there was one duo that immediately popped in mind for me, and that's Riggs and Murtaugh, Lethal Weapon. I think that Lethal Weapon as a set of film, I think, is excellent, and the main reason is because of these two guys. I think Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, Riggs and Murtaugh, they inject humor, heart, and just inherent relatability into literally anything they do, and it really shows that. I mean, of course, you had Shane Black right in the first one. That's why everything they have to say is so great. Their chemistry is fantastic, and that's why all the dialogue is on point. But I think that you really see how strong those characters are and how strong that friendship is when he stops writing these movies. The fact that they're able to carry the success of the first film and carry the enjoyment, the entertainment, despite the fact that arguably the main reason of the success of the first film left, I think is a testament to like what strong characters these are. I think these are the perfect archetype for buddy cops. They're hilarious. I could watch these guys do just about anything. And yes, the irony of Mel Gibson's Sinner best friend being black is not lost on me.
Okay,
that's a good one.
I've only seen the first Lethal Weapon film. I haven't seen any of the sequels.
How'd you like the first?
What?
How'd you like the first?
I'm getting to that. I really liked the first, and I don't know why I haven't gotten any of the sequels because I really enjoyed the first one and the dynamic between the two. I kind of expected a generic action movie, but I really dug the first Lethal Weapon. So I've been meaning to see Lethal Weapon 2 and 3. I've heard 4 is bad, but I've been meaning to see the 2 and 3 at the very least, especially 2 because I like Joe Pesci and I'm excited to see him in these movies. But yeah. I'm interested in seeing the sequels, but in terms of the first one, that dynamic is flawless. They work off each other really well. Payson, thoughts on Riggs and Murtaugh?
Such a great choice. I've seen the first two, and specifically that first one really is one of the great action movies, and I think it's carried A, by Shane Black's incredible script, and B, by the chemistry of Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Just the combination of Riggs just being just this insane loose cannon, and like the way Gibson plays him, you're like, oh shit, is this guy really crazy? And you're gonna finally learn, oh shit, maybe he was.
And the answer is
yes. Yes. And then just Danny Glover totally just being like so done with everything, and just like, why am I still here? And like, I know one day I'm gonna hit that point and it's gonna be funny. Shane Black, I think, is like, I usually don't view him as this, but he's got to be one of my favorite screenwriters, and this is one of the reasons why this movie is incredible. Probably my favorite of the 1987 Shane Black written movies. But yeah, I great pick.
That's totally fair. Okay, Brian, thoughts on Riggs and Murtaugh?
This was actually one of my possibilities for another one I was going to pick for myself. Because when you first gave the topic, my mind went to characters, probably because you had Twitch and Sundance up there. But one of the first things I thought of was also Riggs and Murtaugh. I mean, there's some places I'll tell you Freebie and the Bean with James Caan is the first buddy cop movie. Some people say it's Nighthawks, but really, as far as the modern what buddy cop movies are, it started with Lethal Weapon. They kind of set the what everything else is compared to. They set the tone for that, and it just plays so perfectly. They interact so well with each other, and you can feel almost like a family connection. They're like brothers in there, but there's also a lot of bickering and action and stuff like that, and they're great picks.
Absolutely. Cole, have you seen Lethal Weapon?
I have seen them a long time ago. These are some of my dad's favorite movies. So it's been a minute. But I remember, from what I can remember, I would say this is a decent pick.
That's totally fair. Okay, so now that's everyone on Riggs and Motown, right?
Oh, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
The first Lethal Weapon is a classic example of my dad thinking, yeah, you're old enough to watch this movie.
Same.
On, and like 15 minutes in, he's like, we're not watching this. We're not watching this.
Well, opening scene is a topless girl jumping off a building.
Exactly. He said, we're not watching this. We're not watching this.
I made a huge mistake.
Yep.
Okay,
You're the best dad ever.
So Payson, round us out for your first pick.
I want to do an actor-director one. And yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with Scorsese and De Niro.
I was writing down a different actor-director pairing because I thought you would pick.
That's fair.
I thought he was going there too.
There were a couple that went, but this is probably my favorite, like, single director, single actor, making the best amount of movies that I truly love. These were two people who in the early 70s, they were working in their respective crafts, and they came together, and they just made gold in pretty much everything they did, whether it was Taxi Driver, whether it was Mean Streets, whether it was New York, which isn't as good as the others, or whether it was Raging Bull. Scorsese always seemed to know exactly how to use De Niro and how to use him at his best. I think my personal favorite, like Goodfellas is definitely my favorite movie of the two that they were both in, but to me, the best performance that De Niro has ever given has got to be in The King of Comedy. I think the character of Rupert Pupkin is so incredible, and just the way how Scorsese just completely gets the darkness and the comedic effect out of De Niro at such an early stage in his career is perfection. Even in a movie that I don't absolutely love, like Cape Fear, De Niro is still just horrifying in that movie. Just horrifying. And obviously we've seen this partnership work as well as 2 years ago with The Irishman, which is a movie that I think is climbing its way to being one of my favorite Scorsese movies. But yeah, I think the Scorsese-De Niro partnership is my favorite director-actor partnership that has ever existed.
That's fair. Yeah, Scorsese, De Niro, this is tops for a reason. Like Taxi Driver, Cape Fear, Goodfellas, you mentioned them all. I'm with you. I think De Niro's best performance of all time is King of Comedy.
It used to be Raging Bull. It used to be Raging Bull, but King of Comedy, I just think is.
He just hits every beat perfectly in King of Comedy, but Raging Bull is a completely fair pick. He's incredible. De Niro is just like top two actors for me, to be honest. Like he's fantastic. Yeah, just about every time he works with Scorsese, it's gold. The Irishman, I really liked the more I watched it. I think, which, for the fact that I've been going back to a 4-hour movie multiple times is
you should tell that movie is.
But yeah, I really liked the Irishman. I liked just about everything they've done together that I've seen. Chan, thoughts on Scorsese and Bobby D?
Robert De Niro is an excellent actor. Like, he's definitely one of the best of his generation, one of the best working right now. He's given a lot of performances over the year, but that being said, I don't think any director gets him as well as Martin Scorsese. There's just something about I'm not sure what it is, but there's something about Martin Scorsese. Like, I know exactly what to tell this dude to bring out the best possible De Niro. Yeah, my personal favorite's Raging Bull. I respect the King of Comedy pick. I think he's fantastic in that film. But for me, it's always gonna be Raging Bull. Like, I always just love this. The physical commitment he made to that movie, back where he was got into shape, took a year off, got really heavy, just to do the final act of that movie, and then we're talking shit to Sugar Ray. I'm just like, yeah, like this is one of the best moments I've ever seen in my life. You could have picked one of two Scorsese team ups, and I'm happy you picked the right one.
As much as I do love Scorsese and DiCaprio, this is the correct choice.
This is the one.
You can't deny that. Yeah.
Brian, I don't think you're a big Scorsese guy, but I might be wrong.
I'm not, and probably my taste would skew more towards the Scorsese DiCaprio ones. The ones with him and De Niro are they fall into that category of movies that I don't really. They're not my tastes, but I respect them for what they are. It's just it's kind of like the Godfather movies. It's mob and mafia kind of movies are not my thing, but I totally respect them as filmmaking and the people that love them great. But yeah, so Scorsese and De Niro. It does not surprise me that it would come up on somebody's list, and I get it, but just not my taste.
Okay, Koho.
This is one I consider bringing up. I think that this is the better of the two pairings for me. I think that, yeah, like when I watch De Niro outside of Scorsese movies, I don't typically love him as much as I love him when he's in Scorsese movies. I think he's still like good. Like Silver Linings Playbook is an example of like you can still act when you're not with Scorsese, but I think Scorsese makes him the best that he can be in every performance. That's where all of his best work lies. If you were to make a top 10 De Niro performances list, at least 7 or 8 of them would be in Scorsese films. The Irishman is probably the one that I would have. I mean, King of Comedy is the right choice for a De Niro performance, but I think the collaboration between the two, I probably would have picked The Irishman. I think that the marriage of De Niro's really great, subtle work with Scorsese's sort of classical traditional mob sensibilities kind of being honed to a perfect age, I think make for a really good movie. So yeah,
I never made it past the first hour of Irishman.
You got to get past the first hour. That's when Pacino gets in, baby. Pacino's so good.
When I looked and saw, I'm like, oh, there's still that much time left. Screw this, I'm done.
Could I ask, how pretentious would I have been if I said Martin Scorsese and Thelma Schoonmaker? Because
Schumacher. I mean, you lit up one. Like Schumacher.
That would have been a correct choice because she's one of the greatest film editors of all time.
Oh yeah.
Right. So now we're going to my second pick, and I'm going with a character duo. Tim Brzakala is not here tonight, and I originally did not have this pick on my short list because I assumed Tim Brzakala would pick this. But he's not here. This is a great duo. I'm going with Mike and Sully.
So basically, animated Odd Couple. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Mike and Sully are this is just one of my favorite dynamics in movies. I do love the Odd Couple dynamic, but like I think with this one, because you already have them friends at the start, you get more of like how they actually work together, like having them be friends and working together for most of the movie, I think makes them a better duo than some of these where it's like, like your planes, trains, and automobiles or your Midnight Runs where they spend half the movie at each other's throats. Not that those movies are obviously great, but like I think just seeing this dynamic work together just makes it a little bit more fun, even though obviously there are times where Mike and Sully are mad at each other in this movie. But John Goodman and Sully is just, friendly. Just he has all this warmth while also the intensity being the best there. And Billy Crystal's Mike, I just think is one of the funniest animated performances of this side of Robin Williams. I think Billy Crystal just kills it in every moment. Using spoons, we dig a tunnel out of the place. So many great little one-liners and motions out of our hair. I love this movie and I love these characters.
Leave the puce.
It's just an excellent film, and I love the dynamic between Mike and Sully. Koho, thoughts on Mike and Sully?
Great choice. I think of all the Pixar duos, this is top tier. Top 3 easily of the Pixar duos. I think their dynamic in Monsters Inc. is great. I also really love their dynamic in Monsters University when they're starting to figure out that dynamic. I think it's equally entertaining and fun to watch. I think that Billy Crystal and John Goodman inject so much life using I think their vocal performances for these characters are 2 of the best in animation. I think that they do such a great job of injecting so much personality and life into these 2 animated characters. Phenomenal choice.
Absolutely. Brian?
Fine. It's not my favorite Pixar movie. I don't dislike it by any means, but I enjoy it. I have no strong feelings either way on that though.
That's fair. Chance?
Yeah, this is a great pick. I pretty come from you guys know how much you love Monsters Inc. Not my favorite Pixar duo. They're like top 3, and my favorite is pretty obvious. You know me. But yeah, no, this is a solid pick. Mike and Sully are fantastic. Love them together.
Payson?
Oh yeah, this is an excellent choice. I think Billy Crystal and John Goodman add a lot of life to these characters. I think as I've gotten older, Mike Wazowski is maybe one of my favorite and more relatable Pixar characters like ever. Just like this nervous guy that just is just trying so hard to keep everything together. And I still think one of the funniest ongoing jokes is him always being covered on every single publicity thing. I think is a very
I'm on the cover of a magazine.
And the way how Disney Plus puts the recommended things and it's still
it's still covering them.
Yeah. No, this is an excellent pick.
Koho. Wait, has everyone talked about Mike and Sully? Yeah. Right. Koho, your second pick.
So I messaged Boatman before we started to find what film duos means, and he was like, basically anything you want. And I asked if that extended to behind the camera collaborations. So I went with I did one where it's emerging. I'm going to do one that's behind and one that's entirely in the front. I chose Steven Spielberg and John Williams. I think that Steven Spielberg. What? Sorry.
You only get 2 picks.
Oh, well, shit. Never mind. Then I'm going to throw out Steven Spielberg and John Williams because I just, that's a great choice. Right? Yeah, cool. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Koho pick, though. My Koho pick is to take my favorite character relationship in my favorite film franchise between 2 characters, and that is from the Pirates of the Caribbean. That is Captain Jack Sparrow and Joshua Gibbs. I think that Gibbs and Jack have one of the best relationships that I've seen on film, just like in friendship. I think they have this great dynamic of Jack is such a fearless sort of leader for them, and that Gibbs sees. You just did. That's absolutely correct. But anyway, I think that their dynamic is so good. The way that Gibbs just is so devoted to his captain in this way of it's his friend, and he values him so deeply. And that relationship that they have as captain and first mate, it goes so much deeper than the films even really care to put in the forefront of it. Down to just the first person Jack goes to when he needs a crew is he goes to Gibbs. The first person who stands up when Jack is dead and they need a crew to go back to get him is Gibbs. They have this deep connection in each film to the point where on Stranger Tides, the only person they brought back was Gibbs. Gibbs is so important to Jack in sort of just making Jack as a character who he is, as this sort of likable. Gibbs is the humanity that Jack needs to remind that he's a great man and a good man. And Gibbs is maybe my favorite supporting character in all of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think he is a character that doesn't get a lot of love or shine in terms of just he's. I can't really put into words how much I love Gibbs. I just kind of realized it. He's so great with Jack and their back and forth and their banter, down to just the take what you can, give nothing back. I think that is the best back and forth that they have, and it says everything in just that one exchange.
So I think I've told Koho this before, but my first Pirates of the Caribbean movie I ever watched was on Stranger Tides.
Gross.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was 11. And I didn't quite have taste yet. So I kind of liked it. And the 2 characters I liked most in the movie were Jack Sparrow.
Oh, you lost him.
Gibbs is great. Sorry, what did you say, Chance?
No, we lost you for a sec.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the 2 characters I liked most from that movie were Jack Sparrow and Gibbs. And Gibbs has just become one of my favorite, maybe my favorite side character in that entire series. So yeah, I think this is a really good pick. Payson, I'm going to go to you because I want to take Brian for the end because he's the only other person who loves Pirates movies.
Yeah, Brian was the only other person I thought might back me up on this.
No, I mean, I'm just shocked that if we're going to go with a duo from the Pirates movies, why we didn't go with from On Stranger Tides, the one British soldier and who ends up fucking the mermaid.
You mean the missionary? He's not a soldier.
Yeah, missionary that ends up fucking.
That's fucking what's his name from Catching Fire, Claflin. Right? That's Sam Claflin from Catching Fire.
Nice.
Yeah.
And of all the Pirates films, you're just not going to pick something from that movie. So
understandable. But yeah, sarcasm aside, this is a great pick. Captain Jack Sparrow, I think, is honestly one of the best characters of the 21st century. Not to inflate Koho's ego that much. But yeah, and Gibbs is always I think as I've gotten older and I've grown to appreciate the side characters more, I think Gibbs and Barbossa are definitely my favorite side characters in the entire series. But yeah, great pick.
Yeah. Chance?
This is an on-brand pick for Koho. If I was going to pick a duo from the Pirates franchise, I'd probably pick Jack and Barbosa. I think Barbosa's my favorite side character. That's the whole thing. I think that there's something about Jeffrey Rush as a pirate that just works really well. I think he's always a delight to see in his movies, and him and Jack together, even if the movie's bad, chances are they're fun to watch. But Gibbs, I get it. He's Jack's side man. He's always the dude who's got his back. So I get why you took Gibbs.
Brian.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that if I hadn't already used Star Wars, because I didn't want to have the same area, I was also considering Steven Spielberg and John Williams. So they both get a half a vote from each of us.
See, I thought we had 3 because last time I was on there was 3. I was gonna do the
Two
thing.
of the panel is 3, but we got a full panel, so two.
But I mean, obviously, I love the Pirates movies, and that's a great relationship. Of all the relationships and duos, I'm not sure that'd be the first one I would go for. But again, it's how you're defining duo. Because Jack and Barbosa are a great pair, but are they a duo? Because half the time they're enemies, and I don't know. But it's just a matter of how you decide to define it. And as far as two guys who are together, who are allies at the end, you can't go wrong with Jack and Josh. I mean, it's a great relationship.
Take what you can, give nothing back.
All right. So Brian, we're gonna stick with you.
I'm gonna go with an actor-director combo. And it's not anything you would guess from me, but there's certain with a lot of directors. There's like a certain actor who seems to get them, who seems to be able to deliver their movies, their performances, their dialogue perfectly. Just as an example, this is not my pick, but Kevin Smith movies. A lot of people in Kevin Smith movies just sound like they're reciting this odd dialogue of a script, but somebody like Jason Lee kind of has the right tone where he gets what Kevin Smith's going for. I think the same is true with Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson. Because I like Tarantino makes great movies. But everything from even back when he was just writing on True Romance all the way through to his newest movie, Samuel L. Jackson's been involved in so many of them. And every time, in all of his movies, again, there are certain characters, certain actors who, as good as the movies are, they sound like they're reciting this heightened dialogue that Tarantino has written. Samuel L. Jackson makes everything sound completely natural. He creates these characters. He gets what Tarantino's going for, and he just is able to really embody those characters that Quentin writes for him. And every time, whatever you think of the different movies, his performance from the smallest cameo to the biggest role just knocks it out of the park.
That's fair. I do really like a lot of Tarantino movies, and Samuel L. Jackson gets some of the best performances. Obviously, Jules Pulp Fiction, great. I'm a Jackie Brown defender, and I think his performance as Ordell in Jackie Brown is really underrated. Just kind of this, seeing Samuel Jackson kind of play borderline unstable, at least towards the end, and the way his dynamic between him and De Niro. I love the "You Shot Melanie" scene is just one of the most funny, tense scenes in a movie. And he's great. He's great in Django. I like Samuel Jackson in just about every Tarantino movie. Great and Hateful Eight. Payson.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You say you're a Jackie Brown defender. I'm a Hateful Eight defender. I love that movie so much, and I think Sam Jackson, aside from Jules, that is his best character as Major Marquis Warren. Brian is totally right. Of all the actors, I think Jackson gets Tarantino's dialogue the most, and just knows the amount of energy that you need to make it work. From whether it's Rufus and Kill Bill Volume 2, whether it's Stephen and Django Unchained, I think I can tell you something about every single Jackson character in all of Tarantino's movies. And this is one of the better actor-director pairings. And great pick.
Chance?
Yeah, this would have been my next pick if Brian didn't take it. But I think that when you look at...
We'll switch. You can have that. I'll take Riggs and Murtaugh. There, we're good.
Trade complete. And I get a first-round pick next year. But no, I think that it's interesting as the duo came together because initially Samuel Jackson auditioned for Reservoir Dogs. He didn't get it. But then Tarantino decided to write a character's next film specifically for him. That's how we got Jules Winfield. And yet you can see that once he hit a Tarantino movie, like all bets were off. This was going to be like his dude because like it kind of like what's crazy De Niro. Nobody gets Samuel L. Jackson like Tarantino, and same other way. Nobody gets Tarantino dialogue like Sam Jackson. It's a very it's a relationship both ways, and I really do hope that if this next movie is his last, Samuel Jackson at least gets to lead it because he should. I think he's earned it.
Agreed. Koho?
I love The Hateful Eight and his performance in The Hateful Eight. I think that's the one where he gets the chance to really lead a Tarantino movie and he kills it. I think that is my favorite non-Pulp Fiction performance he's given in the Tarantino canon. But I think he's a perfect fit for Tarantino. There's a reason why he keeps bringing him back, even in really small parts, like just in Inglourious Basterds to read a voiceover. Like, yeah, I think he fits so well that Tarantino just knows he can call his number and he'll always deliver. So great choice. One I considered.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we go to Chance.
I'm stuck between a character duo and an actor-director. And I'm going to actor-director duo because I just did a character duo already. And this is one that's relatively new. It's one that's still going right now. They haven't made a lot of movies together, but I do think we're going to look back at these two and think like this is going to be one of the great dynamics in Hollywood, at least of our generation. I'm going Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. I think that it's a young combo. They've only made 3 movies together. I mean, Coogler's only made 3 movies, but Michael B. Jordan's been in every single one. And I do credit a lot of Michael B. Jordan's like star elevation to Coogler because he plucked him off of TV, put him in Fruitvale Station, was like, oh no, this dude is excellent. And then we saw what he did with Creed. He's great. What he did in Black Panther. He's fantastic. Like these two guys, they mesh. And I mean, I do think like we're gonna look back and see this as one of the great director-actor combos because I do believe like he make movies together. And I'm willing to like call my shot right now. I think, like eventually you'll see them make like a really like great drama. Coogler's gonna win Best Director and Jordan's gonna win Best Actor for it. I'm that confident that these guys are going to be a staple in Hollywood in the future.
That is totally
as stands right now, these 3 movies all knockouts in my book.
That is totally fair. I haven't seen Fruitvale Station yet, but I liked Creed and I really liked Jordan in Black Panther. So I'm excited to see more of them work together. Nathan?
No, I shamefully have not seen Fruitvale Station either yet. I hear it's excellent, but Black Panther is incredible. And Creed, I mean, Creed is one of the best movies that is like better than it has any right to be. Just in terms of like a sequel that came out like years after the original. I think of the 3 that came out in 2015, I think it's my second favorite. But no, I think this pairing, I hope they keep acting and directing for as long as they can. I think Coogler totally does bring out Jordan's best performances. And yeah, I think this is a great pick.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of a newer pair, but it's like you can kind of tell right from the start that they're going to have like a long relationship and they're, going to work together because from the very start, they work together so well. Kind of like these other ones we've talked about, they kind of get what each other are going for and they're able to bring the best out of as an actor and as a director. What they've made so far has been great, and I see nothing but, more success for them in the future.
That's fair. Koho?
Yeah, this is a phenomenal duo with a trio of films that I think are really good. I think that Creed is my favorite one. I think that their work in Creed is brilliant. And I am really bummed that he didn't survive the events of Black Panther, because I think that he is a character that is so great that Jordan just portrays really well. Even on the What If show, he comes back and brings that character back so well. I think that he understands Coogler's vision in every film and just always delivers. I think that also just their dynamic as just real life friends has also led to I think Creed 3 is going to rock with Michael B. Jordan directing it because I think he learned everything he needed to know by watching Ryan Coogler work. And I think that those two have such a great back and forth in their work that I can't wait to see what they do next.
That is totally fair. So that's everyone on Coogler and Jordan, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Payson, take us home.
Yeah, this is about as easy as a final pick that I think I could make. I'm going with 2 brother. It is a directing duo, if you will.
There you go.
It is two brothers from Minnesota. They are my personal favorite directors. I am going with Joel and Ethan Coen, a.k.a. the Coen brothers. Not Ethan Coen, the writer of Garfield. I'm going with the Coen brothers.
Ethan Coen was not the writer of Garfield. Joel Cohen.
Joel Cohen.
Ethan Cohen wrote Holmes and Watson.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
A lot of confusing stuff in Hollywood.
Those two should make movies together. It'd just be successful.
They should. Joel and
The other Coens.
Call themselves the Coen acquaintances.
Just the Cohen.
The Coen homies.
It's either 17 or 18 movies. I forget the exact number. 18 movies. There are only 2 that I don't like. 7 of them I unabashedly love, and the majority of them I really like. The tone of all of these movies are some of my favorite, just tones in movie history. I think the characters that they have created, whether it's Marge Gunderson, whether it's I know they didn't create him, but whether it's Anton Chigurh, whether it's the dude, whether it's Hy McDonough, there are so many excellent characters. Whether it's Llewyn Davis, just partnering with Roger Deakins to create some of the most beautiful shots. I think in movie history, just the dialogue in all of their movies, I think is incredible. I think the one that I would choose to represent it, while Fargo is my personal favorite, I think A Serious Man is one of the great nihilistic films in the past 30 years of just saying we are fucked, but there's really nothing we can do about it. And I think once again, Larry Gopnik is one of the great characters. Everything about these movies, I think their entire filmography in general, I think just complements itself really well, from the comedic tones of Raising Arizona to the dramatic stuff of The Man Who Wasn't There. They're my favorite directors for a reason. We'll see when the tragedy of Macbeth happens how much one Coen lended talent to the other. But yeah, this is an easy final pick for me.
Yeah, I love the Coen brothers. A lot of great films in there. I won't talk too long on this because I don't think there's too much I can say of the insider difference. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou was my favorite Coen Brothers movie, and I just think that's one of just the most brilliant. If we did movie trios, those characters really, the Coen Brothers has a lot of good trios actually, because you got the dude Donnie and Walter.
The dude Donnie and Walter.
Yeah, you got a lot of great trios in Coen Brothers movies. But yeah, I digress. This is just one of the great director pairings of all time. I'm interested to see what Joel Coen does without Ethan with Tragedy of Macbeth. Koho, you hate these 2 guys, right?
Oh, I hate them. They make me so frustrated to be a Minnesotan. No, they are my favorite directors as well. I love their entire filmography. The 2 movies that I even don't really like, I don't think are bad movies. I just don't enjoy them. I think that they have probably the most talented network of people that they can call upon at any moment, between it being actors like John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Frances McDormand, John Turturro, George Clooney, who they work with over and over, who always turn in some of their best performances of their career with them. Or if it's just Bruno Del Bono or Roger Deakins behind the camera, Carter Burwell and T-Bone Burnett on music. They are, of course, Roderick James, who edits all their movies. But I think that they just have the most skilled network of people that work with them. And these 2 guys at the helm have made some of the greatest films of all time. I love Fargo. That's going to be my favorite Coen Brother movie probably forever. I'm very interested in the Tragedy of Macbeth. Like you said, if Joel can make a movie that is great on his own, was Ethan really that much of a help? Does the tone?
Fuck you, Ethan.
No, that's a point. I agree, but that was a point that Cody brought up that totally freaked me out.
For the opposite, I was going more for the opposite.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. Or or is Ethan so much of an influence on Joel that without Ethan that it loses everything that makes a Coen Brother movie? I'm very interested to see it, or maybe it's just as good and it doesn't really matter which brother's behind the camera. But I think that they are the best directors working in Hollywood today, and they have made 18 movies that I think any director would be jealous to have in their filmography.
They all have substance. They all have substance. They all have something that I appreciate.
Brian, exactly. I feel like you're not a Coen Brothers fan, but I don't know that for a fact.
There are some he likes, I think.
There's very few of theirs that I dislike.
Okay.
I do tend to gravitate more towards their comedies. Big Lebowski, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Raised in Arizona, even Hudsucker Proxy, I'm actually a fan of. I like that one a lot. So, I mean, but there are dramas I like as well. Blood Simple being the one that jumps to mind that I just watched recently for the first time this past year, and I really enjoyed that one. But even the movies of theirs that I don't like as much, I'm just repeating what you guys have already said, but you can really just feel that there's a certain feel to a Coen Brothers movie, and it's because they use a lot of the same people doing the music, and they reuse a lot of the same actors, and it's just has that Coen Brothers feel to it, and I really, for the most part, enjoy their films.
That's totally fair. Okay, well, that does round out the main portion of the show. Wait, Chance hasn't said.
Yeah, I'm going to talk. Okay, cool.
Sorry, nope, that's my bad. Go ahead, Chance.
No, it's cool. But yeah, Big Lebowski's my favorite comedy of all time. I love the Coen Brothers. There's some that I like less than others. There's a couple that I don't like. Probably the same two that everybody else doesn't like. But no, yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think that these are two dudes who just. It's kind of like watching like a Wes Anderson or Paul Thomas Anderson movie. They just have like their own style that like you can instantly identify. Like, and it doesn't matter like who you are if you see the movie. Like, yeah, but these guys probably made this too. And yeah, and speaking of, like, I know Joe Cohen's doing his own thing. I would love to see Ethan Cohen direct his own.
I think he's doing a Broadway show actually.
Yeah,
is he? Yeah, I would love to see what he like. I would love for them to like venture off and try things by themselves before they inevitably come back together and make another movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Coen Brothers, excellent directors.
Probably the zebra white hearse. Probably finally.
It would be very cool to just see them make their own thing and like kind of have a competition, like who does it better on their own. That would be kind of cool. But yeah.
Ethan wins a Tony, Joel wins an Oscar. It's officially just a mute point.
So that does end the meat and potatoes of the show. But we have one more thing we've got to talk about, the movie of the month. I know we had some people who basically didn't know they were going to be on the show until today. So if you didn't, Koho, I don't think you saw it. Ryan, have you seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78 within the last?
So I was going to ask. I wasn't even sure which one won. I think it's one I've probably caught bits and pieces of on TV over the years, but I've never seen the whole movie.
That's fair. Won't force you about. Chance, I looked on Letterboxd and it says you watched this movie like within the last month.
I did. I didn't know it was movie of the month. I just watched it on a whim.
Hey, yeah, no, that's totally fair. Thoughts on Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I never seen it in full. So I knew the ending because it had been like parodied and memed so much. But yeah, no, that movie is fantastic. I love the look of the atmosphere. The paranoia is fantastic. Don Sutherland's great in it. Leonard Nimoy is kind of terrifying. Like, more terrifying than you think a guy who was Spock for like 30 years could be in a movie. And yeah, I think that there's a reason this became like a pinnacle of sci-fi filmmaking, especially in that era. Yeah, definitely. Really, really solid film.
Yeah, if you watched last week, I didn't actually get to this one last week because we kind of had the movie of the month. Our show was early in the month last time. But I really dug this movie. I watched it today, and I was really impressed. It's a horror movie and it's a sci-fi movie, but I think the true genre that this fits into is a thriller. Like, this feels like the classic, like, 70s paranoia thrillers that the 70s do really well. And all the actors just sell it. I could watch a full 2-hour movie of just Donald Sutherland and Jeff Goldblum interrupting each other. Like, their dynamic really works in this movie. But then this movie makes you feel so tense because, like, there's nothing really, like, there's no big jump scares or anything really that grisly. It's just a lot of who can you trust? It's a lot of just paranoia that just fills the screen. And those are my favorite types of, like, horror movies, the psychological horror movies. So, yeah, excellent film. Oh, Chance, what do you give this out of 5 stars?
I believe I gave it a 4, but it could definitely go up on subsequent watches.
Right, 4 stars. I'm giving it 4.5. Payson.
No, I think something that I love about movies from the 70s that I think this one just enforced is just you can feel you can hear and feel the location like so well. I think Taxi Driver does this as well with just hearing the car sirens in the back. just hearing just like doorbells ring. I just love that feeling. Yeah, the cast is great in this movie. I think Donald Sutherland has a really funny mustache that I kept being like, oh, that's a funny mustache. I know I'm usually not one to comment on a man's attractiveness. I don't think I've ever done that before in my life, but I think Jeff Goldblum is such a good looking guy. Like young Goldblum, I'm like, damn, I could
there
not.
was a time where you could not pay Goldblum to wear a shirt.
No, that is, yeah. And just the atmosphere of this film, it's slow, it takes its time, but I think it's made all the better for that, because when it does have its moments, it feels so much more effective. And yeah, I think most people know it, maybe not the context of the ending, but at least the ending shot. But knowing the context going in, you're like, oh, that's what it is. But yeah, this is a great movie. I would probably give it 4 stars. Yeah, great film. I'm happy this was this month's choice.
Apparently, I have this log just having watched it in 2015, but I have no memory of this.
There's a great episode of Community where there's a short little scene that parodies that ending shot, and it's a very funny gag. Anyway, that does conclude our episode. Before we go, next week we've got sci-fi epics in honor of Dune. Week after that, we've got movies that take more than one watch. So if you want to be on either of those, be sure to let me or Tim Brzakala know. Should be a lot of fun. But without further ado, thank you to Koho, thank you to Brian, thank you to Chance, thank you to Payson. This has been what I thought was a really fun episode. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been Multiplex Live.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, good evening.